Hey everybody, how we doing? You want to learn how to make a cleavers tincture today? Well, that's cool, because I want to show you how to do it. It's super simple. But the first thing you'll probably notice is that my background is different. If this is the first video you've ever watched, you're like, what? How do I know the background's different? But if you've been here with me for a while, we have pretty much like 90% completed our brand new massive apothecary building. Now, it's not actually massive. It's only like 520 some odd square feet, but compared to the like 100 square foot or less place I was working in prior, this place is a mansion to me. But you're not here to hear about that. So I'm going to show you how to make a cleavers tincture. And I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to do this. So you went out there, even though it's wintertime, and you found yourself some cleavers in your garden. Maybe you just learned who cleavers were before you ripped her out, trying to get your garden beds ready for spring. It's just around the corner. And you found this really interesting plant that likes to stick to everything and everyone. She grows up your garden wall, up your tomatoes. She sticks to your clothes as you're walking by. She's always grabbing onto you. She's not actually sticky. What she is, let me see if I can get close enough in this video. What she is, you see all those tiny little hairs? She's got little hairs that are grabbing onto you. That's not a very good close-up. But I have another video where we meet her in the garden, and I do a pretty good close-up there. But anyhow, so cleavers is a fantastic, safe, simple ally to get to know. And she's got some pretty cool medicinal properties to her. And she's probably growing in your garden or an abandoned lot or anywhere that's just kind of like neglected. She comes and she takes over. She is pretty specific for helping your lymphatic system get up and running. So like you ever like when you get sick, you have like a sore throat and like these glands are swollen, or maybe under right next to your breasts are swollen, or just your breasts are swollen in general. You have these glands all over your body. There's hundreds of them, not just here and there, but like all over. And so what she basically does is she gets in there and she gets them moving. She gets them functioning at a higher level, which is going to kick out those viruses that are in there, the bacteria in there, free radicals, things like that. And all those things, when they're in your lymph nodes, they're swollen up. So like usually when you're sick, they're swollen because they're really trying to fight off some bacteria or virus. So, but enough jabbering. How about we make this tincture, okay? You're going to need a jar. You don't gotta make a half-gallon tincture. You can make a half pint, a quart, anything like that. Just make sure that you have a jar that will fit what you're working on. I want you to have a jar that's just big enough, not too big. And all you're gonna do is take your cleavers. Now you're gonna want to make sure that you go through her first, and I already did that before the video because she does grab onto things. So if there's other plants growing with her, she can kind of grab onto those little sticks and leaves, and it probably won't kill you. But it's a good idea in general to make sure that the thing you're tincturing is only the thing you're tincturing. So I've gone through her. And now I'm just going to take my jar and I'm just going to chop her up a little bit. I know so many people are going to tell you to straight up pulverize this lady. They're going to tell you in any plant, they're going to tell you put it in your blender and mash it up into a fine paste. Don't do that. You don't need to. It's kind of, disrespectful to the plant. We want to know who she is. But we're just going to chop her up a little bit to give her a little bit more surface space for the alcohol to extract from. And you can push it into your jar a little bit, but you don't need to like hard pack it in there. You need room for the alcohol to exist. So it really is just this simple. There's no massive amount of complication here. But you want to make sure that you're filling your jar all the way up to the top with your fresh plant matter. Now it's important that you only use fresh plant matter when you're making a tincture if it's possible, because you still want her water-soluble properties. When this plant dries out, she loses a large amount of her medicinal properties, and then you're only left with the most volatile properties of the plant. But we want a whole, well-rounded lady here. We want her in all of her state. So fresh plant matter is the way to go. All right. So I filled her up. You ready for the hardest part? I don't know if you can handle this. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to do this. 2, take your 100 proof vodka. And if you can't find 100 proof, I'd go with 80 proof. And just dump it over top. It is really that easy. And again, you are smart enough to cut up a fresh plant and dump vodka over top of it. You don't need to pay people thousands of dollars to teach you how to do this. There's no complicated math here. There's no, oh my God, what do I do, and the formula, and the this to this ratio, because 100 proof vodka, look at that, perfect amount. 100 proof vodka is 50% water, 50% alcohol, meaning every drop that went in here is already ready when it's done. So normally people use grain alcohol, which doesn't mean that it's made out of grain. It means that it's 190% alcohol, ethanol alcohol. And when they do that, it's poisonous. So they know that they have to take all these steps, adding in all these, adding in water, distilled water usually, to bring it back down to, wait for it, 50% alcohol and 50% water. You're like kind of cutting your foot off when you do that. And I'm about to tell my husband that he has to go away because I'm doing a video that he forgot. Drive safe. Sorry. I told him, like, man, I'm going to be out there doing a video. Anyhow. So you really don't have to make it all that complicated. You can just start off with 100 proof vodka. Now, the reason that they like to use grain alcohol is because they feel like it makes it stronger. And they're right, it does. It makes it have way higher medicinal type properties, and you're like, oh, that sounds great. But if you're going to have a reaction from a plant ally, it's when you start trying to turn it into a pharmaceutical. All right, when you're going to experience like how this plant can like calmly and gently affect your body, it's when you use her in her whole plant matter. Now you're like, well, what's the difference really? Well, with this being 50% water, we're also getting her water-soluble properties, Now you're like, well, I could make a decoction and do this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, or you could just dump 100 proof vodka over it and be patient and wait the 6 to 8 weeks. Speaking of, that's the next step. You just stick her in a dark place for 6 to 8 weeks. You can shake her now and then if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. Sometimes they drip a little bit, but generally you're not that worried about it. Now you are going to make sure that you fill the jar up all the way. That way you prevent oxidation. I know I'm all over the place here, but generally why I say to pick a jar that you can fill all the way up with your herb is because I also want you to fill it all the way up with your vodka. I get so many messages all the time being like, I made a lemon balm tincture, or I made a catnip tincture, or this or that tincture, and it turned really brown. Is it okay? And I was like, was your jar filled up all the way top? Nope. And what happens is it's like a banana or an apple. When you peel it or take a bite of it and you let it sit there and it turns brown, that's oxidation. So if you don't fill your jar up all the way with your vodka, then you get oxidation because there's oxygen in there. And it's not going to kill you. It's not going to make your tincture unusable. It will make it a little less potent, but it's still usable. And eventually oxidation is inevitable because you'll take it out, you'll put it into a tincture bottle, there's the word, and it gets it gets exposed to air. But you really want to prevent oxidation when it's just beginning. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a label on it. That way I know who it is and where I got it. That way I don't forget. You can use a piece of duct tape. You can print out these labels on your own with like Avery labels from Walmart or anything like that. But just to label it, okay? And now when she's done sitting, I'm just going to strain her out. And then you just take her a few drops at a time. A lot of people like to ask me dosage stuff. I say experiment. But generally with these safe, simple plants, you're starting anywhere between 5 to 10 drops at a time. And if you start feeling yucky from something, take less. It's really that simple. So that's how you make a cleaver's tincture, and I'm pretty sure that you are smart enough to do that without having to take courses, without having to pay thousands of dollars. You just have to get out there and get curious with the plants that are around you and start learning. All this information is out there for free. So if you like my videos, if you like hearing me jabber, all that kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like, comment. That way I know you're here with me. Follow the link in my bio to learn more about me, to find me on Instagram. If you're watching IGTV, come over onto my profile and learn about me as a human. I offer a lot of stuff, all right? So once again, you are smart enough to do this, okay? Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.